special member of the Ipswich Roundtable. My evening tonight has been thoroughly enjoyable so far. I've met a lot of incredible people who have done a lot of incredible things. And the gentleman sat with me tonight is Derek. Hello, Derek.
Hi, Sarah.
Nice to meet you.
And you too.
Thank you very much for giving me some of your time.
It's a pleasure.
And of course, we're here to talk about the Ipswich sleigh, the Rudolph, that everybody has seen who lives in Ipswich. Now, I understand you were involved in building it?
Yes. As far as I know, Rudolph was built in, I think, around 1968-9 time, thereabouts, in Rushmere, in David's house, and I remember we made him out of papier-mâché. Bernard Reynolds, who was, I think, art director or similar at the old Ipswich Civic College. He came along and kindly set the structure up, covered it with chicken wire. We then applied layers of papier-mâché. And I remember cold frosty nights when we'd have this big cauldron of glue on the go, with paper being dipped in, and we'd put this all over the form, the papier-mâché onto the form of the chicken wire, and eventually out came the shape of Rudolph. And we thought then, I think, that would probably last for a year or two, and we'd raise some money for charity with it. But as it happened, it's still going, as we've seen tonight.
Very much still going.
Very much still going, with the same enthusiastic crowd of tablers.
So the burning question I have to ask you is, initially, when you set about this project, nowadays people ask for money to raise to get the product, to build the product, all that stuff. How did you get the newspapers, the chicken wire? Was it stuff that you guys just went out and bought yourselves, or was it donated? How did it initially start to be built?
I don't really know for sure, but I don't recall there was any fundraising towards that. I think we were more concerned with getting the thing up and running and fundraising with it, and I think we all chipped in. We certainly chipped a time in, and I think the materials and so on could possibly have come from a residual amount in our community service fund, but probably out of pockets, because the community service fund was run then on the basis that whatever money we raised, we spent on a project, knowing full well that the next time we had a project, we would have to then get together and raise some money. That was the incentive, to raise some money for that project.
Now, every year, obviously, the sleigh goes round, and Dev actually mentioned that the route has gotten bigger over the years. Is it something that you think could expand even further, or do you think it's now got to the limit of where it can go in Ipswich?
Well, as the town has expanded and the population's expanded, I would think it could make sense to expand the route and the time. The only problem with that could be that, we used to start, I think, about 2 weeks before Christmas, maybe a bit more, but you can't start too early before Christmas because people want to know what the devil and all the noises about keeping their children awake.
And Santa really doesn't sort of start around this area till, I think he starts at mid to end of November. If you track him on the tracker, Santa tracker now, he doesn't come around this area till November. So
not really. And I think if you start earlier than that, that wouldn't be that acceptable. He wouldn't be here. So no, it doesn't work. So and if you ask the clowns that help Santa to work longer hours, there's a problem with that, because all those guys are working anyway.
Well, that's something I was going to say. They are working individuals.
All working individuals. It's all done for pleasure, voluntarily, and I think you then got to time with when they can be available as a team. And I think we used to kick off at about 6 o'clock or something. There's a reasonable time when everyone could get together and go out. So there are limits on that, and it may mean that all the town is not totally covered.
Sad, they can only do so much, though. You can only get so far. The guys who go out every night, every member, I believe, actually goes out on a run with Santa every year. Is that true? Do they go out every member?
Every tabler that would go out, and there'd be a rota for each night. So having put your name down on the rota, that'd be expected that you'd go out. And we used to queue up to go out. It was enjoyable, thoroughly enjoyable.
As was it over the years? Have you felt as though the popularity has grown or diminished? Have you seen trends where it's been popular and where it hasn't?
I think it's gradually got more popular. The last couple of years probably has meant people are a bit more careful with the pennies, and understandably why. But overall, I think the popularity's grown, and people are very, very generous and give what they possibly can, to most charities, I think.
I think there's a modern element to it as well. I mean, nowadays, like the growing of the internet and social media, more people talk about things, they can share things ever so quickly. There was a gentleman earlier on, I overheard a conversation on Facebook. Funnily enough, you had a problem last night with the engine, I believe, and that was all over discussion within a matter of minutes.
Exactly.
So that's how quickly things can be spread.
Yeah, I only learned that tonight actually, that the generator had a problem, and but that's been replaced, and he's
gone. He's
on his round.
But that's what I'm trying to say about the popularity of things. It grows because things are so quick to grow now, aren't they?
Yeah, the enthusiasm's there. Messages travel quicker. Yeah, and that does make things happen more quickly.
Every year, the money kind of figures that are raised, I mean, have you got targets every year, or do you just simply go out and say, oh, we'd like to raise some money? We haven't really got a figure in mind, but we just want to raise money.
Yeah, I think, I'm going back to the years when I was in table and we used to do this. Each year we would have a target that would be increased on the previous target, but that would be dependent on weather, whether Rudolph was fit and well.
Yeah.
Santa Claus could always be called upon to be there. He was always very, very reliable. And I think that the target figures obtained have changed a bit, because going back to 1970 when it started, or thereabouts, if you raised £1,600, that was a lot of money.
Oh, yes.
Whereas today, it pales into insignificance almost, and the expectation would be to raise a bit more.
So the types of charities that benefit from this, who have you helped? Is there anything in any years that stick out for you? Any memorable moments that you said, I'd really loved raising money for that?
Yeah, unfortunately not really.
They're all equally special.
They're all equally thought of, yeah. I mean, we used to pick a charity that we would support, and at the moment I couldn't really say that we took preference over another. The ones we selected and that we supported. Numerous charities.
Well, you're obviously here tonight. Everyone else has gone out. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Sarah.
And it's been a privilege to come and see what you guys do, because I had no idea that there were so many people involved in this, and it's been going for so long.
Been going for so long, and with the same enthusiasm.
Yes, I mean tonight there were snowmen running around everywhere.
Absolutely.
Santa couldn't wait to get in the sleigh. It was
That's
absolutely marvellous.
Cold and wet and miserable,
Cold and wet
but
and snowing
full of
this morning.
enthusiasm.
And it's not been. But thank you very much, Derek. It's been an absolute
Thank
privilege.
you. It's been a joy. It's been a privilege. Thank you.
I'm checking it twice.